Off-the-shelf Red God of War. The Soviet Operation Mars, 1940. 1942. Okay, basically in this activation, I want to attack here and try to defeat this Luftwaffe infantry division there. So I don't think these units can move because they're already in the zone of control of this German division, and to move here I don't think is allowed because they're not already a friendly unit there, I think. But here, the 17th Guards Division should be able to move forward, paying the ZOC movement costs. But that's what I want to do. But first, let's figure out the impulses and Soviet activation. So, first Soviet Army assignments. Again, So, starting with the headquarters unit, the diagonal stripe on the top left, this diagonal stripe, which is not part of the background design, is actually a red stripe to correspond to these type of units have the exact same red diagonal stripe, and as well all of these units have the red color in the NATO symbol. So anyways, by color coding either NATO symbol or diagonal stripe, all of these units are 41st Army because they are the red formation. And this is important because in this game a hard and fast rule is that a unit may only be activated by the activation of its parent headquarters regardless of the proximity of other Soviet headquarters. First of all, let me point out that activation is different for the Soviets than the Germans. So just talking about Soviet activation now. So a unit may only be activated by the activation of its parent headquarters regardless of the proximity of other Soviet headquarters. So I guess that's just a hard use the headquarters command range, I guess. But now Soviet activation. All Soviet units that are assigned to an activated headquarters, so the 41st is definitely activated. All Soviet units that are assigned to the activated headquarters may move, conduct combat, and conduct mechanized movement. If such units are within range of another headquarters, they may not be activated by the activation of the other headquarters. Units not assigned to the activated headquarters may not move or conduct combat during the impulse, obviously. So what's the difference? All Soviet units that are assigned to the activated headquarters may move, conduct combat, and conduct mechanized movement. So if that's the case, why does the Soviet headquarters have a command range? Okay, long range. Okay, I guess long range activation. Units that begin the impulse outside the range of the activated headquarters may also be activated, but their supply status is reduced one level. If supplied, they are treated as unsupplied. If unsupplied or isolated, they are treated as isolated. Okay. Okay, so I guess I'll get to that when I actually have a situation. These units are clearly within range of the headquarters. So yeah. So all right. So I guess movement next. So in a roundabout way, I think because units that are outside the command range of the headquarters will be if they're in normal state, they'll be considered unsupplied. So the effects of being unsupplied are, among other things, halved movement allowance and halved combat strength. So basically, in a roundabout way, really, units that are outside the command span are at half strength, roughly. Okay. All right, now movement. So the Guards Infantry Division here has a movement allowance of 6. That's on the lower right. Movement allowance of 6. They start in the that terrain there, which is heavy forest. They want to move forward into a clear hex with a road. So I think the only thing that matters is the 1 for the clear hex and 1 for the zone of control. And I note that the zone of control effects are, oh, that was close. I noticed that the terrain effects chart does not include Zox. I don't see it. I always like it when games put those types of things on the terrain effects chart because it's a natural place for how you actually use the materials, right? Anyways, it should be, so let's talk about that. Movement costs, 1 additional movement point to enter an enemy Zoc, and half a unit's printed movement allowance to leave an enemy Zoc. He's not in an enemy Zoc to start with, the 17th Guards. So he's just entering an enemy Zoc. And again, I'm just going ahead and assuming that the German 86th Infantry Division there has a zone of control, and as well as the Luftwaffe infantry there. Okay, so I think, in what order? It's not really clear, but I guess you do movement, combat, then mechanized movement. I guess. So there, it's 1 and 2. A unit is not required to stop moving when it enters an enemy Zoc. But then you have movement restrictions. About unit may not move directly from one enemy Zoc to another unless the hex being entered contains a friendly unit that has not already moved and will not move out of the hex during the current turn. That seems interesting. Little twist there. Doesn't seem like an easy way to remember and indicate that, but anyways. All right, so let's do some combat. Let's have the first mechanized corps there in the 17th Guards Division attack the German Luftwaffe there in, I guess that's considered light woods. Okay. Overall steps of the combat phase: designate all hexes that will be attacked. The attacking player allocates any additional headquarters support and expends the additional supply point to do so. Let's look at what that's about. Okay, so there is this extra effort. Sounds interesting. In addition to the a headquarters, German or Soviet, may provide 1 additional combat odd shift for the expenditure of 1 supply point per attack. So again, the Soviets have 14 supply points. Thus, a German or Soviet headquarters could increase or decrease the odds by 2 levels for the cost of 1 supply point, or a Soviet headquarters could support a second attack. Player must announce that he or she is spending the supply point before rolling the combat die. Just of note, there are actually Soviet attack limits. Units assigned to a Soviet headquarters may only attack 2 enemy-occupied hexes during a single impulse. And only one of these may be supported by the headquarters. That's interesting. There are some actual regulations directly imposed on the Soviet side for attacking. But we'll say that the 41st Army is going to support this attack, so there'll be that odd shift. So I'm spending it now. I believe I spend it now. So I reduce the supply points by 1. So then for the attack, go ahead and conduct individual attacks in any order the attacker desires, and then you're going to conduct retreats in advance after combat as necessary. So let's go in straight into the core combat mechanic here. So this first attack at the start of Operation Mars, I think it goes even as far as column shifts go. So the odds are kind of easy. 12 plus 8 is a 20 to 4 is 5 to 1 starting odds. But then we go right down these, and this is from the clarifications in errata, because I don't think that these combat odds modifiers were, and I'm not positive of this, but I believe that they were not consolidated like this. So I'm going to go ahead and use this consolidated odds modifiers. It's snow, not mud. We're in light wood, so it's -1. German defender in a hex marked as German setup hex, in other words, an improved position. Yes, the German unit is there in its starting position, so that's -2. The defending unit is within range of a friendly headquarters. I do believe that that Luftwaffe division can pull support from this German headquarters within 4 hexes. It doesn't have to pull from the one that it's from any particular headquarters, unlike the Soviets. So that's -3, +1 because the attacking units are within range of a supplied friendly headquarters. So now we're -2. Then it's first attack of the operation, basically. So now we're down to -1. And finally, the headquarters expends a supply point for that extra effort. So I think that we come all the way back to even on combat odds, or shifts, on column shifts. And so we're going to execute the attack on the 5-to-1 column. Yeah, I don't think that these odds modifiers were comprehensive. So the Soviets start the operation off with a pretty bad roll of 1. So the combat results table results says 1/1. So we'll figure out how to assess that. Okay, we wound up with the pretty much the simplest, most straightforward result in this case. It is a one step loss on each side. Each side must take this step loss. There are no other options. Well, I guess the one option is the Soviet attackers here get to decide who takes the loss. So do I want the guards to take it? I doubt that. Ooh. Huh. Yeah, actually I will have the guards take it. Alright, so flip them over for 1 step loss. And I think that is the combat, but I'll do a quick check. That is actually it. So first combat of the operation, each side took a step loss. I am now thinking that actually for a basic odds CRT 1d6 results, there actually are a lot of column shift modifiers to take into account. But yeah, we kind of wound up with a fairly simple, straightforward first combat here.